Hello, everybody. Welcome into a Friday edition of the Computer America Show. We have a terrific show planned for you today. As always, in the first hour, we're going to be, actually, in the second hour, we're going to be doing computer and technology news brought to you by Slimware Utilities, the official optimization software of Computer America. And in the first hour, we're going to be talking to Tiffen. Mike Cassera is here with us. We'll be talking about some of the cool things they do with photography and there are different filters that they have. So sit back, relax. Oh, don't forget that we also have our social media winner of the week. That's all coming up on today's show. So we're going to be starting in about 20 seconds. Sit back, relax, enjoy 2 hours of the Computer America Show coming at you right here.
Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live, it's America's longest-running national radio talk show on computers, Computer America, hosted by national columnist Craig Crossman. Look for Craig's weekly column in your favorite newspaper. This show is being beamed nationwide at ComputerAmerica.com. Keep it here for technology news, computer products, guest interviews, and your phone calls. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello, and welcome into the Computer America Show. It's the nation's longest-running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers. Computer America is heard around the world and coast to coast. And I'm your host, Craig Crossman.
And I'm your co-host, Ben.
And it is Friday. Yes, we made it. Another week of broadcasting excellence in the circular repository. And it's been...
The joke was funny, I don't know, maybe the third time you did it, but, you know, now we're like 18 weeks into circular repository / can. It's
not a joke. It's just a saying, you know?
No, the saying is another week of broadcasting excellence in the can, as in done. But,
I make slight modifications to it, so it doesn't sound the same over and over and over again. And we don't sound redundant. We don't sound like we're repeating ourselves, saying the same thing, you see. So
loud and clear. Got it.
It is. And into this Friday, and we have a terrific show planned for you. Of course, we're going to have our social media winner of the week. Going to announce that. We're going to be giving away that Logitech M535 Bluetooth wireless mouse for your Mac, for your Windows system, for your Chrome OS. It works with everything. Valued at $40. Some lucky person is going to be winning that today. In the second hour, we're going to be doing computer and technology news. That's brought to you by Slimware Utilities, the official optimization software of Computer America. And in the first hour, we're going to be talking to a company called Tiffen. Now, if you're not familiar with Tiffen, they basically make filters for photographers using technology. They do some incredible things. They actually, Tiffen makes several different products. But we're kind of going to focus on, pun intended, focus on some of their Tiffen filters. They're saying it goes beyond the glass. So we're going to be talking to them as well. Now, if you have a comment or question, or if you're interested in technology and photography, certainly this is a place for you to, or a chance to speak to them. Give us a call at 347-884-8881. That's 347-884-8881. We'll get you on and get you through. But if you don't want to call, you're radio shy, and you still want to ask a question, head over to our website at ComputerAmerica.com, and you'll see on any page there's our menu bar. When you go to the second item on there, the first one's home, the second one says live stream. Under that is submit a question. If you click that, you'll go to our question submission page. You can type in anything you'd like, a question, a suggestion, whatever. Click the submit button, and Ben and I will see what you've typed instantly. Just another way to reach us. The other thing you can also do that we invite you to do is watch our live video stream. Again, head over to ComputerAmerica.com. Any page there, you'll see it right in the menu bar, live stream. You click it, you'll be taken to our live video stream. You'll join the show that's already in progress, and you can watch as well as listen to the Computer America Show. You can see Ben. You won't be able to see our guest today because he's on the phone, but you certainly can see Ben. He has the technology to display websites, links, videos, movies, that type of thing. So you can actually see what we're talking about. It just enriches the experience that we call Computer America. Matter of fact, everything we do is reflected at computeramerica.com. It is the internet home of our radio broadcast, www.computeramerica.com. So as I mentioned, we'll also be giving away that M535 Bluetooth wireless mouse from Logitech. It's probably in the second hour of the show. And Ben, big weekend plans? What's going on?
Oh, wow. Was not thinking about weekend at all. You know, I think I'm finally gonna get that rail system installed from that that we talked about yesterday, when we had games on the show with us. Yeah, they sent over 2 of the rail systems, and been itching to get those out of the box. So probably set that up, and also probably get some work done on the website. So get that ball rolling and get a new Computer America website, because it's been 3 days. So it's it's time for a new one. Other than that, no. Folks, stick around for the second hour again for computer and technology news. It's going to be a lot of fun, and but also stick around for the first hour, because I had the pleasure of meeting Tiffen out at CES. I actually believe I met Andrew Tiffen out there on the show floor, so that was a lot of fun. And although mainly we talked about the Steadicam, maybe we'll get some time to talk about that, because that was some really cool technology that they had going into that. But but the filters are great too. We're gonna get into that. So yeah, that's all I got. I said we get the show started.
Okay, well that's good. By the way, when you looked at the rail system, I know they're still in the box, you haven't taken them out of the box. Have you had a chance to look at them? You got some ideas of how you're going to use them? I
got to come up with something, because I only have two rail systems, and ideally that'd be more than anyone could ever need. But with 3 monitors, I got to figure something out. So no, I'll take a picture and put it up on Computer America when I get a chance to get it all set up.
If you need a third one, I am sure they'll be happy to send you that third one if you think that that's necessary.
Well, the problem is, I think one of my monitors, because I bought it on the cheap, like I bought it, walk into Walmart, get the cheapest one you can. Mm-hmm. I bought on the cheap, not Visa compliant.
Oh, that's very unusual. Yeah, most all compliant. Yeah.
Well, when you find that bargain, is it really a bargain? So
yeah, right.
You so like another stand wouldn't even be helpful, because it's not Visa compliant.
Yeah. It's amazing. Most monitors, I think, they just go for our Visa compliant. So that must have been really on the cheap. Yeah, exactly. Well, okay. Let's get our guest on the show. We've got lots of things to talk about with him. And again, the name of the company is called Tiffen, Tiffen. And according to them, they have been a leading manufacturer of photographic filters, lenses, accessories, software, and camera accessories for the consumer/professional imaging and the motion picture and television broadcast industry for over 75 years. They've been around for a while. Tiffen has a rich history of innovative product design, superior optical consistency, and unparalleled quality. Now, joining us today is Michael Casara. Mike is Tiffen's marketing communications manager. Mike, welcome into Computer America. How are you, sir?
Thanks for having me, Craig. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for being here. So why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about Tiffen itself, a little bit history of the company, and what it is that you guys do there.
You broke it down pretty well, but we've been around for 75 years. We're the leader in motion picture and consumer filtration. So what that means is the pieces of glass that go in front of the cameras, we are the leader in that. And that enhances your effects, both optically, it enhances your camera. More importantly, that's anything from diffusing the scene, which is very important in Hollywood, to creating an atmosphere, to reducing the amount of light coming into the camera. So we're the world leader in that, and we've been proud to be that for the past 75 years.
Now, I'm sure you know that there has been a lot of technology changes in the world of photography in the past 15, 20 years. I mean, the migration from film, I would say, is one of them. I'm hard pressed to find a film camera today. Most everything has gone digital. Did that affect your business in any way, shape, or form, or you're at the front of you're at the lens, and it really doesn't matter what process is used after the lens? I mean, how did it affect Tiffen?
I mean, it definitely affected Tiffen for a little bit. I mean, it was a little before my time when I started at Tiffen around 5 years ago. I didn't really see the change from film to digital in the filter market, but I know how it affected as a photographer. You know, filters in photography were very important, whether it's, you know, affecting the grain of film to, you know, the color temperature. Filters were always important. Now with digital, you know, everything's in camera, so you don't have to worry about that as much as you used to. But filters still serve an important purpose, from, you know, protecting your lens to enhancing contrast to diffusion, like I mentioned earlier. There's always been a place for filtration. So through the years, Tiffen has evolved to not only work with film but also digital sensors. So it really is it's a great time for filtration. I think we're seeing a great change, and I'm excited to see what the future holds in the next 10 to 15 years. I think it's going to be an exciting time for filtration.
Now you say you've only been with the company 5 years, but obviously you know Andrew and the Tiffen I guess founders. Do you know? Did they see it coming? Or when they first saw digital, did they say, "Oh, okay, we got to make some changes"? Did they know that it was going to make the kind of impact that it made in the camera industry?
Absolutely. I mean, we're very alert to new technology. I mean, even today, you know, you look at the 4K televisions, now they're starting to convert to 8K televisions, and it's just like that time when film went to digital. We were aware of it. Everybody was aware of it, and Tiffen's really the leader in customer innovation. So what we do is actually receive feedback from the field. More importantly than anything else is we rely on customer feedback and interaction. So we would have cinematographers actually contact us and say, hey, you know, digital is coming. It is on the horizon. You know, you guys have to be aware of this. And you know, we noticed it just as much as they did, and we adapted to the new technology. And you know, that's why Tiffen has been so successful over the last, you know, 20 years or so, is because we relied on that customer interaction and feedback, and we were able to adapt to the changes.
But as you but as you know, not everything that comes out is good. I mean, look at, they had 3D televisions, and they were going to be the big thing. Everybody was coming out with 3D TVs, and look what happened to that again. I mean, it kind of fell by the wayside.
I mean, one thing that I assume would kind of help is that, you know, Tiffen, as you know, again, as I saw at CES this year, you guys are making a lot of camera accessories. Like, it's not just filters, but, you know, of course, we're going to focus on filters this hour. But you guys are trying to be like the one-stop shop for all these different accessories that can go into a camera. So like, it doesn't really matter. Like, there's a reason we're talking to Tiffen right now, and we're not talking to, let's say, Polaroid, or at least why they haven't been on the show for a while. I know they came back with another camera, but you know, for the most part, they didn't want to transition from digital. It seems like Tiffen has done some very smart things to even be relevant, no matter what, you know, film or digital you use, because, you know, they go, you know, kind of in conjunction with everything else.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, you know, we see the changes in the world of photography and film, and filmmaking, I should say. You know, everything from filtration to Steadicam is one of the main brands of Tiffen. You know, camera stabilizing units. So, you know, we've been in the forefront of, you know, of the technology that affects the motion picture and photography industries. So I guess we could adapt a little better than other companies in terms of, you know, the changes that are needed in the world today. But, you know, as an accessory manufacturer, you know, we are really everything that goes around the camera without actually being the camera or the lens. So, you know, that helps us, because if a new camera technology comes out, you know, we adapt to that. Like, everything from, you know, smartphone technology to, you know, like I said earlier, 4K and 8K cameras. You know, we're adapting to that. We're working with the technology. We work with brands, like other brands throughout the world, and really try to, you know, see the new technology coming out and adapt to that, and really make good and competitive products for our users.
You know, I remember when I first saw the Steadicam, and it was so impressive. I mean, the guy he was demonstrating it, moving it, and then he would just jump up and down, up and down. He would keep jumping it, and the camera wouldn't move, you know, because the harness, it was like gyroscopes, so just keeping it perfectly level, which to me was incredibly impressive. and again, although we're not going to focus necessarily on the Steadicam, I'm kind of curious because now you see with cameras today, even in smartphones, that they're getting these digital image stabilization technologies. Do you think that kind of that technology will encroach on your Steadicam technology, or are they just totally different?
I mean, funny enough, a lot of these companies have come to us and asked us for advice on digital imaging stabilization. So a lot of it is derived from the Steadicam technology, which was invented by Garrett Brown 40 years ago. So we're not too nervous about it. There are certain systems that are coming out that have come out in the last few years, like take the 3-axis gimbals, like the Movies and the Ronins. They are a big compliment to us. Now we're actually developing a system called the SteadyMate that adapts to the Ronin and Movies, which enables users of those systems to put an arm and vest on there, a Steadicam arm and vest, and actually adapt and use that system like a Steadicam. So it alleviates the strain of holding a 15 to 20 pound camera system, and you can now hold that system for more than 10 seconds at a time. So it really turns a 3-axis gimbal into a proper Steadicam. So we work with the technology of the current day and age and of the future, really.
I think James Cameron, the director, really got it. Really started to make an impact in the movie business industry when he came out with Avatar.
With Avatar, I mean, you saw this rain, mountains everywhere, and not a single shake. That was really great photography. That they they were able to get all over that planet, and no shaking. It was wonderful.
But some of the I'm just curious. Some of the technologies that he was he using some of the Steadicam technologies in there, or I'm just kind of curious.
I mean, I can't confirm because I've probably never seen a behind the scenes aspect of Avatar. I've seen the movie probably about 25 times.
Yeah.
And I know that stabilization was involved, whether it was with a Steadicam, which I'm assuming it was because it was before the time of the 3-axis gimbals.
Right.
I'm sure they used it. I'd say about 90% of the Hollywood blockbusters nowadays use Steadicam in some way, shape, or form. So
excellent.
I'm sure he was using it on that movie.
And certainly he's coming out with Avatar 2, so I'm sure he'll definitely be using that.
Well, the first one only made $1.2 billion, so, yeah.
So I think a sequel is definitely after he opens his eyes. What's next? We're going to find out. All right, so let's get into a little bit now. Why don't you talk a little bit about what is so special about the Tiffen filter process? You call it color core, I believe. What is that?
Yeah, that's that is what really makes Tiffen filters, is our color core process. It separates us from the competition. The color core process is really a laminate process. So, when people think of Tiffen filters, they know we're glass filtration. A lot of other companies make resin filters, which are plastic. So with glass filtration, you have a superior optical quality, but what makes Tiffen filters even more superior to the competition is the color core process. And what the color core process is a lamination process, which actually takes the filter effect and laminates it in between two pieces of glass. So that keeps overall color consistency throughout. In I'd say 50, 60 years ago, there was a time where if you were to take a neutral density filter or you take another filter and it wasn't from the same batch or the same, we get big sheets of glass come in, and you'll put the effect on these big sheets of glass. If it wasn't from the same batch, it wouldn't have that color or that consistency, from batch to batch. So you might get a one batch that appeared as a neutral density 1.2, and another batch that 1.2 might appear as a 0.9. So it might differ. So we had no way to check that consistency. But with the color core process, which has been around for years and years, that is what makes Tiffen great, because we get that process right in every batch. So you don't have to worry if there was a batch made 2 years ago, the consistency is there, and it will be the same as it is from a filter coming off the line today.
So the color core process, is it a computing process of some sort? Is it a digital process? I assume, of course, it's patented, so you can talk about it. I mean, what gives you what's giving it that consistency? Is it a chemical process? I mean, what is it?
It is. It's a chemical process.
Okay.
You know, I can't really dive into the specifics of it because there's about, I'd say four people in the world that know that process.
Okay.
I am not one of them, to be honest with you. There's a secret door here at Tiffen that, you know, I think your last name has to be Tiffen, I think, to see that secret room.
Okay.
So the color core process, your lock and key, there's only a few people in the world that know about it, that has seen it in action. I unfortunately am not one of them. Hopefully someday I will get to see it, but I think
there you go. It's like the recipe for Coca-Cola.
Like in my head, you know, it's like old Mama Tiffin comes in every night and makes the next batch of you know, a color core for the next day. Like it does seem that secretive.
Yeah, exactly.
That's exactly what it is. It's, you know, you think about it, it's grandma's sauce. You know, that's what it is.
So tell us, now they're different. Obviously there's all kinds of filters, and I think you kind of boiled it down as to what the 3 most essential filters for photography would be. And why don't you tell our listeners about what those are, and then we'll go into some of the details.
Sure. You know, as a photographer myself, I always tell people every time I meet them, you know, there's 3 filters that you really always need in your bag, or, you know, attached to your camera lens at all times. One of those is a standard protective filter, or a UVP. That is really just meant to protect your lens. Really, to protect your camera and protect your lens. It absorbs the shock of a fall. So if you've ever had the unfortunate accident of dropping your camera lens, you know, that is you know what it's there for. The other 2 filters, one is a circular polarizer, which in the digital world is very important, and the other is a neutral density filter. And all 3 of those are incredibly important throughout the world of photography today.
All right, so let's talk about this protection filter now. Why is it? What is it doing? Let's say that it's just a lens cap, you know, a plastic over the lens. It would do. I mean, why do you need this? Why can't you just protect your lens with a lens cap?
Well, it's really meant to protect your lens, you know, while you're shooting. So I'm a wedding photographer as well, and when I photograph weddings, I always have a good protection filter on, a good Tiffen protection filter on, because there have been times where I've knocked my lens into, you know, either into a wall, or if I've had accidents where I was shooting on a tripod and a gust of wind came in and just knocked over my tripod. And when you have a protection filter on, that is going to absorb the fall of impact. It's going to absorb that impact, and the protection filter will take the brunt of that and will protect your lens. And so I tell people this all the time: what would you rather lose, your $25 filter or your $2,000 camera lens?
Wow.
You know, usually the answer is the $25 filter.
And it protects things like, you know, flying wedding cake, you know, hitting your camera lens. It protects it from
I've had incidents. You know, what's funny is people don't think about it, but when I photograph a getting ready scene, you know, a scene where the bride's getting ready and there's hairspray flying around. All right, hairspray is actually very bad for your camera lens. You know, if you get hairspray on your camera lens, it could actually damage the glass. So, you know, I'm always using a protection filter on, especially during those getting ready scenes, because you never know, you know, what will happen. I've had instances where you couldn't even believe that you just, you know, I'm glad I had a filter in front of there, especially a protection filter. Exactly. Let's just put it that way.
Now,
and I think one of the cool things that you show here, you know, if you're watching the video portion of the show, we have a, you know, we kind of have the website up with the filters, and, you know, this one here, you know, kind of shows the difference in cloud and stuff like that. But I think one cool thing that this picture shows off is that, like, this lens, like, if it's just transparent, you know, just meant for protection, like, it doesn't warp the image. Like, you know, you can look at the very edge and there's a tree on, you know, on one side and on the other side, but behind the glass, and, you know, there's like no warping whatsoever.
Right. It lets it just pass through. I believe we're looking at the polarizer lens, which is what I want to talk to you about next. But
right.
Okay.
Yeah. So now anyone who is not familiar with polarized lenses, it's really something to behold. Polarized lenses. I mean, we see them on regular glasses that people wear, sunglasses, polarized lenses. And one of the things that I've always found fascinating is you can look.
Oh, there was a local commercial that was on that was like like live life in HD, and like you put on polarized sunglasses and everyone's like, wow, this is amazing. It's like it's just a pair of sunglasses with some polarized, plastic in them, but apparently that's life in HD for you.
Well, yeah, because literally it stops things like glare and things that would interfere with what it is that you're looking at. Why don't you tell us what are some of the benefits for using a polarizer?
Yeah, you guys really broke it down pretty well. Think of a polarizer as, sunglasses for your camera. All right. It really is that simple. But if you've ever worn a pair of polarized sunglasses, you know the effect of a polarizer. All right. Polarizers help reduce glare, especially reflections. So in the movie industry, polarizers are used a lot to help reduce the glare off of, say, windshields of a car. So if you ever seen a scene where they were filming through, let's say, a car window, all right, if you weren't using a polarizer, you would see pure reflection off of that window. So when you rotate a circular polarizer or a polarizer, it will actually reduce the amount of reflections coming off glass surfaces, and it will help the viewer see through glass, essentially. So it's a very useful filter in that regard. But what it's also useful for is contrast. So probably the most used filter in photography, besides a protection filter, is a polarizer. A lot of outdoor photographers use them to enhance the contrast of a scene. So let's say you have a beautiful summer day, white clouds, white puffy clouds in the sky, and you go to take a photo, and it seems to be a little washed out. All right, like that blue sky doesn't appear as blue as your eye perceives it. Well, you put a polarizer on there, and that polarizer is gonna really increase that blue and increase that contrast in the sky. It helps pop clouds off the landscape, really, and it's just an essential outdoor filter, especially for photography.
Polarizers have been used actually for not only for fishermen have used polarized glasses so they can see beneath the surface of the water. I mean, water has this horrible glare. You put these polarized lenses on, and you can literally, it's like seeing what's underneath the water. You can actually see fish. You can see beneath the surface of the water because it cuts.
Because for years before they made polarizing sunglasses for fishermen, the fish were just outsmarting the fishermen left and right. They had no chance. So.
You can't see me. I know. No, but the point of them, the point of the polarized lenses is that it changes the contrast. Now, polarizers don't have to have a tint. That was the other. I mean, typically they'll put them on tinted sunglasses, but technically you can can't you put a polarizer or make a polarizer just a clear sheet of glass? I mean, can you they don't necessarily need to have a tint, do they?
I mean, they don't have to have like a warming tint, or like I've seen a lot of polarized sunglasses that have like a warming effect or anything like that. Like, I mean, Tiffen makes a warm polarizer. Usually they have about 1.5 stops of light absorption. So they do have a little bit of a tint to it, at least in photography filters, they do. So when you see a polarizer, a photo polarizer, a photo filtering polarizer, you will see it has a little bit of a darker tint to it.
Okay. One of the ways you can always tell if a pair of glasses are polarized is that you hold them up and then you start rotating them. And when you rotate them, you can see the glare disappear and come back, and when they put them into a pair of glasses, they always put the lenses in such a way that when the glasses are horizontally on your face is the way. That's, I guess, the ultimate point of polarization, where you get that cut. But your filters, you can rotate them, so you can actually get different levels of polarization.
Absolutely, yeah. That's a circular polarizer for you. You could rotate it to achieve the desired effect. Maybe you don't want full polarization. Maybe you want partial. So if you rotate a circular polarizer, that will help you achieve that.
Yeah. And again, it's kind of amazing. Ben is actually demonstrating the.
Yeah, you have this great video of a waterfall. I don't know where exactly this is, but it shows, just the effects on the rocks and the effects on, really the whole scene when you rotate this thing.
Yeah, the sky is like a white kind of a gray, and then when you rotate it to the ultimate point of polarization, the sky becomes darker. The shadows become more pronounced under the waterfall. The image just kind of pops. It's just an amazing effect. I'll tell you what, Mike, we're at the bottom of the hour break here, so why don't we take a break and then we'll continue on with you talking about so many more of the things that Tiffen makes. You're listening to the Computer America Show. Ben and I are talking to Mike Casara. He is the marketing manager, communications manager for Tiffen. We're going to take a short break. We have a News Tips Bulletin review from Marty Winston coming up as well. And as I said, later on the show, the Logitech M535 Bluetooth wireless mouse will be giving that away. We're going to be right back. You're listening to the Computer America Show. Don't go anywhere. Please stay with us.
Sometimes disaster strikes. Data can be lost due to many different reasons. Accidental reformatting, power spikes, virus attacks. Zero Assumption Recovery provides a suite of highly effective and thorough data recovery software for Windows operating systems. ZA is suitable for home users and small businesses who need a powerful data recovery solution for Windows and Linux file systems.
Go to z-a-recovery.com.
Sometimes disaster strikes. Data can be lost due to many different reasons. Accidental reformatting, power spikes, virus attacks. Zero Assumption Recovery provides a suite of highly effective and thorough data recovery software for Windows operating systems. ZA is suitable for home users and small businesses who need a powerful data recovery solution for Windows and Linux file systems.
Go to z-a-recovery.com.
Hi, this is Craig Crossman, host of the Computer America Show. You have important meetings to schedule. Your company's getting ready for its IPO, and you're in charge of the PTA fundraiser this month. So how do you coordinate everyone to be available at the same time? Are you still using emails, phone calls, even text messages to schedule meetings with a group of people? How's that working out for you? Not so great, huh? It's a fact that every day, millions of people suffer from scheduling headaches. Well, with Doodle, scheduling meetings with a group of people is quick and easy. With Doodle, you can easily propose available times to each member. Each one checks off the times that they are available, and then you simply pick the time that works best for the group, all in an easy-to-read display that integrates with your existing calendar. Nothing could be more simple. Give Doodle a try for free, and like millions of Doodle users, you'll truly see how easy it is to find the perfect date and time for all your meetings. That's www.doodle.com.
Hot? The lobsters leave the water already cooked. Marty Winston with the News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America. This time, the Triplite rack mount 16-port USB charger. Now, just because it's an equipment rack doesn't mean that you won't need lots of USB charging ports there, a fact that obviously didn't escape Triplite. They put 16 ports, all capable of cracking up to 2.4 amps, in a 1U high rack or desktop package. They can also, if you want, double as a USB 2 hub or sync station. One standard grounded AC connection powers it. You can even choose how to position its rack ears so it can have its face flush front or set back a little more than an inch, a little more than 2 inches. We love it as a convenience for powering 16 of our Project House's Raspberry Pi controllers. Bottom line, the Triplite 16-port USB charger fills a big lack in many a rack. Marty Winston, News Tips Bulletin for Computer America.
And I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did, folks, because that's the last time you'll be hearing that particular News Tip Bulletin review from Marty Winston. Indeed, I know. But fear not, Marty Winston is very prolific in what he does, and we'll have 2 brand new ones next week. So, but getting back to the matter at hand, we have Tiffen on the show here with us, and we have Mr. Michael Casara here with us talking about their filters, and we're just getting into polarizers. And, Mike, I'll admit I am completely out of my wheelhouse because, the most photography I've done is, let's see, I had those cheap little disposable ones that my mom sent me off to camp with, and then smartphones, and that's it. But polarizer seemed like something that's something that's pretty unique. But all these filters, to me, and I'm sure to people who've never really photographed, overkill. Warm light polarizer, warm polarizer, circular what would you say is kind of the use case for what would you say is the use case for having all these filters, one of these filters? Like, are there important filters? Who do you see, or you said you were a photographer yourself, who do you know kind of uses all these filters?
I mean, personally, I use all of them, but I know not everyone's me. But the three that I mentioned, the protection filter, the polarizer, and the neutral density, are really just three every photographer should have for a variety of situations. It's just those are the most essential ones. If you talk to photographers out there, certain photographers will say, don't use a protection filter; it could degrade the quality of an image. Well, if you use a good protection filter, a very good protection filter like the ones Tiffen makes, our digital HT filters, it doesn't degrade the quality of an image. There are photographers out there that say, oh, I could do everything a circular polarizer does in post-production, in Photoshop, in Lightroom. That is completely false. You cannot remove glare in Photoshop.
Yeah.
Same thing with a neutral density filter. A neutral density filter, if you're doing a long exposure or something where you want to slow the motion of a scene, you cannot do that in post-production. These are three essential items that everybody needs because they're useful in the field. Protection filter obviously protects your investment. Polarizer increases contrast, reduces glare, and a neutral density filter is there to reduce the amount of light coming into your lens. So I think these are filters every photographer should have.
Yeah, and you're right. I mean, you can do some amazing things in Photoshop, but there are just some things that you actually have to do in the shot itself. Well,
I mean, if you listen to Instagram, they can do a million different filters. Again, to the layman, which I am now posing as myself as. The difference between a digital filter and a physical filter, and not just polarizer, but filters in general, is there any reason to shoot with a filter and not apply one digitally? Yeah.
I mean, when you think of digital filtration nowadays, a lot of people out there think of digital filtration as like an Instagram filter that you put on, after the fact, after you take the photo. That's what I think of in digital filtration. That is, after the fact filtration. You want to add a nice little effect. You want to give it a little vintage look to it. That's not necessary, to say the least. I get the appeal of it. I, for one, filter my images too, especially when I post to social media. I use, plugins, and I use editing platforms and things like that just to enhance the overall look of the image and, to add different saturations and tones to it. So there is an appeal there, and digital filtration will always be there as well. But, with optical filtration, again, it's something that, you get right in camera. There is nothing more satisfying to a photographer than getting the image right in camera. Nothing in the world.
Right. Now, there is one camera. I'm blocking the name of it. It's the Lightbox, where you can, let's say, if you take a picture that's out of focus, after you've taken the picture, you can.
I think you're thinking of Lytro.
Lytro, yeah, that's it, the Lytro camera.
If you want to talk about niche, I mean.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know that much about it, but have you ever played around with the Lytro camera?
I mean, I have. I've seen it I've seen it at CES and NAB, and while it's an interesting design, I heard they're having some issues with it. I heard it's I don't even know if they're taking it to market. To be honest with you. Overall, it's a great idea. I mean, it really is. But when you think about what it goes into a camera, okay, and adjusting focus after the fact,
right?
I mean, these are millions of megapixels that make up a camera and things like that. And their design, I think, was a little more for the television audience than anything else, especially for sports. They had those small little cameras, but they were very, they were niche products. So I don't think we're there yet where you could adjust, where you have a camera that could adjust focus, after the fact and has multiple cameras in one. I know there's a company called Light that is actually trying to make a camera that has that. And I've seen some of their prototype stuff and it looks really promising. Is that where photography is going to go? I'm sure. I don't think it's there yet. I think it might be there in the next 10 years or so, but I still think there's a need to, hitting focus the first time and getting the shot right in camera without having to do it after the fact. I think there will always be a need for, getting it right in camera.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for the camera that can actually take pictures, back in time. You can go back 5 years, 10 years.
Well, that's every photo if you're being pedantic.
And just think of it. But I don't think that's going to be here soon. I did watch a movie about something like that. That was kind of interesting. Okay, so getting back to reality. So we're talking about polarizing.
I mean, well, real quick. I mean, this is a good segue. If you're sticking around for the second hour for computer and technology news, Google Street View. Someone just took 80,000 photos from the 1800s and made a street view of New York City. So
that is kind of cool.
If you want to talk about time travel and photographs and the power they have, well, now you can walk around in 1800s New York City.
That is kind of cool.
So stick around for the news, but back to what we were doing.
Yes, back to it. So you mentioned that the three most essential filters. So we talked about the protection filter, a polarizer, and then you have something called the neutral density filter. Now, what is the neutral density filter, and why is that essential to have that?
Well, a neutral density filter is really essential to have in your bag. What that does is it blocks the amount of light coming into your sensor, into your camera, really. So if you've ever been out on a bright sunny day, in the middle, like say you're at the beach, and you want to take a portrait of somebody, all right, and if you ever taken a portrait at f2.0, you have a wide open aperture, and you have that shallow depth of field, and everything behind that person is out of focus, you have those really dramatic looking portraits. If you were to do that on a bright day, all right, you wouldn't be able to get to an f2.0 on a very bright, sunny day at noon. You would need something to block the amount of light coming into the camera lens to get down to that aperture, all right? And that's a neutral density filter that helps you achieve that. So what a neutral density filter is really just, a light blocker. It's also used by photographers. A lot of landscape photographers use it for long exposures. So if you've ever seen a landscape where the water looks flat, or very dramatic, or the clouds look like they're in motion, that's a long exposure. And how that's achieved is with a neutral density filter. And Tiffen makes them from really 0.3, to 3.0, which 0.3 is 1 stop and 3.0 is 10 stops. So it blocks, when you think of a 3.0, it blocks 10 times the amount of light coming into your camera. So that's really, it almost looks like welding glass. It's very dark.
Yeah. Now, when you have these so when you say what's neutral about them, in other words, they don't change the color, they don't change the film, they just darken. What's the neutral aspect of this?
You're exactly right, Craig. That's exactly what it is. When you think of a neutral density filter, it doesn't change the color of the scene. So you're just darkening the scene.
Okay. So is there a way to have like multiple neutral density filters? Can you stack them, or is there some sort of a way of having it built into one? What's available? What does Tiffen have available?
Well, you could always stack multiple neutral density filters. You do have that ability to do so. With screw-on filters, especially for DSLRs, you could stack as many as you want. You do run the risk of vignetting, where your the corners of your image have darker edges. That's really a no-no in photography.
Okay.
But what we do have, and what we've made, I think around 5 years ago, when I just came to the company, is we made what's called a variable neutral density. And what a variable neutral density is just multiple neutral density filters in one. So it allows you to dial in how much, or like how strength of a neutral density you want. It goes 2 to 8 stops, so it really covers most of the spectrum, and it blocks up to 8 stops of light. That's pretty phenomenal for a filter. With our variable ND, it's probably one of the best ones on the market today. It has incredible reviews. I think it's an Amazon bestseller, and it's really essential for photographers looking to have a neutral density in their bag that maybe don't want to carry like 4 or 5 different filters in their bag. It allows you to just carry one filter, and that's what a variable ND does.
Right, well,
very versatile.
How does it do that? I mean, basically, a neutral density filter is just a sheet of glass, right? So how do you make it variable and dark?
They must have some smart people over at Tiffen.
Yeah, how do you do that? How does it do it?
So ironically, we were talking about circular polarizers earlier. What a variable neutral density is actually 2 polarizers really laying on top of each other. They're just millimeters apart.
Yeah.
Okay. When you rotate 2 polarizers together, okay, that actually creates a neutral density filter.
Yeah.
So what the challenge was just keeping it neutral, and that was our big challenge. And we were, the lab technicians here over at Tiffen were able to achieve that. So it's, that's how we came up with a very, very good variable neutral density filter.
Yeah, I mean, that's how. One of the ways you can test to see if you have a polarized lens is you take another set of polarized lenses and you just put them one in front and you rotate them, and you can see what would happen. You could see clearly through it, and then it would go to virtually black where you couldn't see. It would just completely touch the light. So you took that technology of polarized lenses, that's very interesting, and came up with 2 lenses that are polarized, rotating to cause variable darkness, which I think is really, really cool. I mean,
I like that your solution to how do we get this lens to do this? And of course, being Tiffen, you say, what about more lenses? And then someone got a pat on the back. I mean,
yeah, it is.
You do have to start somewhere. It's very funny, but a lot of the products we have is just, we had a lot of users just say, you should try this. I tried this once and it works. And, like I said earlier, our mission statement is really, just, customer feedback, it's succeeding off of customer feedback. And you don't know how many products probably have, come up just from customers coming to us and saying, I need something to do this. And that's how it comes about, is just one person saying, comes to us and says, this is what we need, can you make it work? And we've done that time and time again.
Now I'm looking at the variable digital density because I had difficulty in visualizing what it looks, but it's up on the website. And Ben, if you can put that, you can see that too. When it's called the variable neutral density, when you look at it, it still looks like the thickness of a regular lens. That it doesn't look that much thicker. I was envisioning something bulky and mechanical. This looks like it's quite elegant. And how do you turn the ring? And the ring is attached to one lens? How does that work?
Yeah, so it works just like a standard filter. All right, you screw it onto the front of your lens, and then it has a front element to it, a front rotating ring, and that's the ring you rotate once it's screwed onto your lens. So that's how you actually dial in the density.
Okay, so but again, it looks about the same thickness or width of the standard lens. It looks like you built it all into this one little cool little unit.
It's a little thicker. I'll be honest. It's a little thicker. It doesn't allow you to use your standard lens cap with it. We are working on a solution for that, that you could use a lens cap with a variable ND, but it is an essential item. So
yeah,
it is just a tad thicker than a standard filter, though.
Right. And so, but how light and how dark is what's the variability on this again?
So it's 2 to 8 stops. So it's a it really is a I guess that would be 0.4 to a 2.1, if I'm not mistaken. Our numbers are a little different than most other companies, and I actually haven't been asked that question, so I have to go and look at the data.
Okay, well you can see it on the website, and Ben's also
2 to 8 stops. Yeah.
Yeah, and one little tiny ring filter. That's very, very cool. So now you have other filters too. You have these diffusion filters, and why are they important in photography?
Diffusion filters are really just filters that I love, and they are filters that have really changed the game, not only in photography, but mainly in cinematography. So I'd say about if you watch television or you go to the movies, I'd say about 95% of the movies or television shows that you watch nowadays have Tiffen filters in some way, shape, or form. And diffusion filters play a huge part in that. What diffusion filters really are, it helps you, enhance the scene. It helps you either soften the image. We're shooting with 4K and 8K cameras now. The detail is so incredibly strong. We don't want to see every pore on Scarlett Johansson's face. We don't want to see every detail. So what a diffusion filter is, it helps knock back the detail just a little bit while retaining sharpness really overall clarity in the overall scene. So it will diffuse skin. It will help reduce blemishes and wrinkles. And it will also help create an overall effect. So certain filters might have a little bit more of halation to a scene. And what halation is just think of your highlights, your light sources. So say a bulb, a bare light bulb will glow, and that's when you see halation. You might see a lot of shows out there have that. Probably one of the biggest users of halation, I think, is the show NCIS. If you've ever seen NCIS, you know that their scenes have like this wild glow to it. It's very heavy halation.
Yeah.
But yeah, diffusion filters have been around for years and years, dating back to the film days, and but now in the digital age, especially in with the modern camera sensors, the 4K, the 8K sensors, they're more important than ever, and we're seeing really an increase in diffusion sales because of that.
And you have these different glimmer glasses, right? They're from what looks like glimmer glass 1, 2, 3, and 4, which I guess are stronger diffusion levels of diffusion.
Yes, yeah. Every filter has different strengths. So especially diffusion. Diffusion has, a glimmer glass filter has different strengths, and that applies, throughout every line of diffusion filters we have. So the glimmer glasses, the Pro Mist, the pearlescence, the satins, the black satin, so on and so forth. For really, if your users want to check out our website, we have a great diffusion page. It's tiffen.com/diffusion. And it gives you a comprehensive breakdown of every diffusion filter we make, how it affects the scene, and you could see every strength really in person. You could see, a really well done comprehensive video on what diffusion's all about.
Yeah, and Ben is actually showing some of that right now as you've been talking.
Yeah, I was going to show every video, but we don't have time. We don't have time for all those videos. It's we really have a good one. Yeah.
Certainly, we'll give you an idea of what all these different diffusion filters do. So again, if you're into this type of thing, with photography or with your digital camera or with whatever you're using, these things are certainly available. Especially since digital cameras now, have they're like single lens reflex. They're SLR cameras. They have interchangeable lenses. You can put filters and things on them. They're industry standards, and I am assuming that most of these filters that are coming from Tiffen will fit on cameras like that.
Yes, I mean, a lot of these filters will fit everywhere.
Right.
But with diffusion, I got a little off topic there, but with diffusion, it's so essential in the world today, and I can't see it. I can't see it going away anytime soon, especially with the sensors getting bigger and better and faster, and you name it.
Yeah, no, exactly. So obviously you're talking about the future and everything, and I guess it leads to the question of where do you see the future of all these different filtration products that Tiffen makes going? What's coming up?
Like a Swiss Army all-in-one filter that can do all these in one?
Right, you can have all these glimmer glass and all these other things in one filter now. You can just dial it to do whatever you want. I mean, what is it? What is it you're trying to do?
I mean, personally, I see some crazy things coming for filtration. I mean, I have my dreams of what filtration will be, whether it's a one for all kind of filter where it has an electronic sensor in front of it where you just press a button and it does what you want. It's an all-in-one, say, diffusion filter or neutral density filter. One could dream, right? I think we're about 15 to 20 years away from something like that. but I do see filtration moving, towards the future. I see it, obviously I do see digital filtration kind of coming in and playing its part, whether it's, you see certain camera manufacturers start implementing filtration into their cameras themselves, into the software of the cameras. I think we're going to be a big proponent in that. But there are a lot of great things for the future that I see filtration, and I see the world going towards. It's an exciting time. I think I'd say in the next 5 to 10 years we'll see some big changes in digital filtration.
I mean, we're seeing now. I mean, we're seeing glass that can block out light. I mean, Corning's got some very interesting things that they're coming out with where they it can make your windows darken immediately or lighten depending upon however you want. You don't need shades anymore. The glass is going to be doing that. And I'm assuming similar technologies will
as humans spend more and more time trying to get away from the sun. It's yeah, cool stuff.
We'll see more and more of that. More and more of that happening. I mean,
one thing we should mention is, of course, price of these. We're going to get to that in a second. But let's say someone's been listening to this whole show and decided that, hey, I want to get into photography. I heard traditionally it was a multi-$1,000 venture. Like if you wanted to, kind of get into some of the better equipment, but, as a photographer yourself and, what would it cost someone to get, a decent camera, whatever brand you like, and then a decent array of filters and lenses and things like that?
I mean, I'm what, 7-8 years removed from when I started, and I remember, taking a dive into it. I got my first camera was my graduation present from college, and I always wanted a DSLR, and I think it was a Canon Rebel XT1 at the time, and I think it was like a $700 to $800 camera for a good digital SLR. But, I mean, now the cameras are getting better and better, and there's, more and more competition out there. You could really get a good camera. And people ask me all the time, I want to get a good photography camera. Where can I get started at? I've seen, Canon cameras that are around $500 that are, the Rebel lines. And, I started with a Rebel, and some of the stuff that was in my portfolio for years was shot on a Rebel. I think it's more about the glass that goes in front of the camera than anything else. I mean, I've seen some YouTube videos of, world-class photographers shooting with, Polaroid cameras and toy cameras, and they're still able to achieve these gorgeous shots. So I don't think it's so much about the gear as more it is about the person behind the camera lens, behind the camera. If you have, if you, I'd say put like $500, behind you, into the technology, and you make that investment, I think that will go a long way in photography. And with filters, the protection filter, the polarizer, the neutral density filters, I mean, they're not overly expensive. Now, if you do have, a good piece of glass, like a good camera lens, I'm for one, I always put, the best in front of the best. I have, $2,000 camera lenses myself, and they're always protected with the best Tiffen filters, that we make. That's our digital HT line. But if you're starting off, you could go with a very good, reliable Tiffen UVP, which is very inexpensive, that you could get for, around $15 to $20, at any store, like like a B&H or an Amazon or a Best Buy.
Sure.
Really any camera dealer out there.
Well, Mike, if people want more information, obviously they go to your website, which is www.tiffen.com, or can they buy these? Where can they go to buy them?
Oh, they could go, right on our website. We do have a dealer locator on our website as well. If you want to shop at your local camera store, we do have a dealer locator. You could search by state and then by region as well. You could, just Google search Tiffen filters, and you'll see a wide variety of them.
I'm sorry we didn't get a chance to go to the Steadicam and all the other products that you make, but you can see them at the website at Tiffen.com, or head over to ComputerAmerica.com. It's right, Tiffen's right on our homepage. We have links to everything there as well. Mike, we're just flat out of time. I want to thank you so much for taking the time to let our listeners know about what Tiffen is and what you guys do, and thanks so much for being here on Computer America.
It was very interesting. Thank you.
Thanks, Craig. Thanks, Ben. I appreciate the time.
All right, you take care. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
You too, guys. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, so there you go. Again, Tiffen is the name of the website, and you can see it for yourself. What do we got coming up in the next hour? We got some interesting stories here. I see Star Wars in the news.
Star Wars Rogue One.
Yeah, right.
The first ever kind of side movie to the Star Wars franchise. So,
yeah. And also, get this, Google is going to help you register to vote in the November election.
see, I was hoping they were going to let you vote on Google, but
Well, I mean, hey,
but by help, I mean they're going to give you tons and tons of resources to go register or find your polling place. Find times. They're going to make it very simple to go vote.
yeah, exactly. And yes, Pokemon is still in the news. So
It's going to stay in the news for a long while. Don't worry, folks. We're going to have all your Pokemon Go news that you can stomach.
yeah, exactly. So we're going to do that. And of course, we're going to have our social media winner of the week coming up as well. And one last time, our news tips review from Marty Winston. We'll have 2 new ones coming up on Monday. We're going to take a short momentary break, and then we'll continue on with hour 2 of the Computer America Show.
Broadcasting live. It's the only national radio talk show on computers to air every weeknight. Computer America. Hosted by national columnist Craig Crossman. The first hour's behind us, but there's still more of tech news, tech talk, and your phone calls. We're being beamed nationwide at ComputerAmerica.com. You got computer problems? Bring them on. You're listening to Computer America. Computers run the world, and we run computers. Call us or send us an email to live@computeramerica.com.
Hello and welcome into hour 2 of the nation's longest running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers. This is the Computer America Show, and I'm your host, Craig Crossman.
And I'm your co-host, Ben.
And if you just missed the first hour, we had Tiffen on the show talking about all the different things and lenses and filters that they make.
Yeah, really. We spent most of the whole hour on filters and lenses. Who knew you could do that?
Yeah, exactly. And never got into their Steadicam line of products. But, if you missed the show, you want to listen to it, you can head over to ComputerAmerica.com. Right there on any page on our menu bar, you can see it's just our menu bar. And you can go over to the archives section, and you can see all the different places that carry archives of the show. And you can listen to Computer America at your leisure. But, of course, we like it when you're here with us live every Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time. And we certainly enjoy your company. 347-884-8881. We'll keep the lines open in case you have a comment or a question for us. We'll certainly entertain those.
Right. I've actually been looking into getting a DSLR because, little known fact, DSLR cameras, digital single reflex lens, whatever, lens reflex, they actually make the best webcams.
Who?
DSLR cameras.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
I know that seems like overkill having a giant bulky DSLR sitting over all your equipment, but if you're trying to make videos with a good picture quality, why not go with a camera that has an obvious better picture quality than don't get me wrong, right now I'm using a $49 Logitech webcam. Before that, I was using a $29 Logitech webcam, and for the longest time, I had like a built-in laptop webcam. And they all have their purpose. They're all good. Currently sitting here with a $49 Logitech webcam. The picture quality is good, but like if you want the really, 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 really good video quality, why not go with a really, really, really good video camera?
Well,
so I've been looking into getting a DSLR myself.
Well, do you know why a DL or an SLR or DLSR, same, when the digital ones film, what makes an SLR camera so good? I mean, why they're
I thought it was the price tag, because like you shell out a bunch of money and it was just better because it costs more. So
no, there's a reason for it. The single lens reflex cameras have always been the camera of choice for photographers, and that basically is they don't have a viewfinder. In other words, when you look through the viewfinder, or if it's DLSR, you're just looking at the camera, it's the little screen. But if you're looking through a viewfinder, you actually look through the lens itself. Unlike other cameras that have the little, you look through them, there's a parallax difference. What you see isn't exactly what you're going to get. But with an SLR or a DLSR, you're looking through the actual lens that's taking the picture, so you get what you see, and it is certainly the most desirable way of taking pictures is with an SLR or DLSR camera, and that's why they're so coveted.
Fun fact.
Yeah, the only problems with DLSR, until I think Olympus was the first one to actually figure out how to do it. No one could figure out how to have a DLSR camera, and Olympus, I think, was one of the first that finally figured out how to make it so that the lens you're looking through is actually the lens that you're taking the picture through, and they came up with the techniques to make that actually happen. Now most camera companies do offer it. So, but there it is.
Right. And well, I think most people, when they think webcams, or they think, kind of shooting video from your computer, they think of, and again, as as Logitech is essentially a sponsor, we like it that people think, oh, just go get a webcam for $20.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But if you're trying to shoot good video, on your computer for any reason, maybe you have an old DSLR that you stopped taking pictures with. That could be your new webcam.
It could be. Yeah, exactly. All right. Again, we're in the second hour of the show. We got lots of interesting news stories coming up momentarily. And of course, we're going to be giving away that Logitech M535 Bluetooth wireless mouse that works on most all platforms and sells for $40. We'll be calling out the winning name as well. Okay. So you want to start doing some news now?
It would be preferable.
All right. Let's do it. Today's computer and technology news is brought to you by Slimware Utilities, the official optimization software of Computer America. You can visit them at slimwareutilities.com to clean, speed up, and optimize your Windows system. Check them out at slimwareutilities.com.
All right. So I think for our first story, we're going to kick this off with Craig. I don't know if you remember the Monty Python song.
The Monty Python song?
Yes, Python, same thing.
Okay.
Where they talk about how insignificant you really are. Just remember. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yes, I do. Uh-huh.
Right. Well, if you ever forget just how unlikely your birth is, here from this article from Popular Science and Mr. Ryan F. Mandelbaum. And yeah, scientists have made the largest map ever to unlock the history of the universe.
This is cool.
And this is the picture right here. If you're watching the video portion, you can see it here. It looks like something from a 1980s video game where you die and like all the little pixels kind of go crazy. But no, each one of those little pixels is 1.2 million galaxies, not planets, not stars, but galaxies. It is incredible, the density that this picture must hold. And again, accurate. That is, of course, the important thing is accuracy to scientists.
It says this image alone that you're looking at contains 48,741 galaxies.
Right. And again, it's just one slice. It's an image that covers about 1/20th of the night sky, and it's 6 billion light years wide. This one photo, 6 billion light years wide, 4.5 billion light years high, and 500 million light years thick. Again, I read these numbers; they don't register in my head.
No, they don't.
I'm just reading, 4.5 billion light years high. Oh, that's interesting. That's less than it is wide. Huh? Who knew? 6 billion light years. What the entire universe is only 13 billion light years. Right. So, if you started at the beginning of the universe, you can only do this twice. You can only go from left to right on this photo twice if you started at the beginning of time itself.
Right. Jeez.
It is crazy how powerful this image is. And yet, to me, again, it has no I have no context for this, but it's very, very cool because it's going to allow us to do a couple different things. So, they're saying that, so with a collaboration of hundreds of scientists, released the, quote, largest ever three-dimensional map of distant galaxies with over 1.2 million spots as a part of the Baryon Oscillation Spectroscopic Survey, or BOSS. I like BOSS better. Program using a telescope in New Mexico, and this is according to a press release from the Brookhaven National Lab. So the map isn't for wanderers. Scientists are trying to understand some of the universe's unexplained properties, like what dark matter and dark energies are. So understanding those things require a three-dimensional map, bigger and looking further out than any map scientists have made prior. So again, this map is actually three-dimensional. That's why they said it was a slice, where you're going to be able to navigate this thing in 3 dimensions. Take it, twist it, turn it, and one, like, Craig, I know when well, I guess back when you were in school, they only taught the Earth was flat, but they taught you the planet, and then they taught you the solar system, and then they taught you the galaxy. Like, how far did they go up in kind of putting you in place of the universe?
Yeah, they talked about that. They talked about the galaxy. We're in the Milky Way galaxy. That's the one. And then we talked about some of the Andromeda, some of the other galaxies.
Right. They were just talking about other galaxies that were nearby.
That's right.
Since then, Greg, I don't know if you know this, but they have superclusters. And I don't know if you've ever heard of a supercluster, but we are part of I'm trying to remember which supercluster we're part of, but you can actually see, and here's a picture I just pulled up on Google Images real quick. This is where Earth is. You see that little red dot?
Yeah.
That little red dot is, and again, folks, highly recommend the video part. Otherwise you don't know what the little red dot I'm talking about is. But yeah, so that little red dot, that's where the Milky Way galaxy is. And because of the nature of, kind of the observations we can make and the mapping we can do, we mapped our local supercluster. And that shape is actually the shape of what, kind of spawns galaxies into a much larger shape. Because, we always think galaxies are just these, these two-dimensional rotating disks of stars. Well, this supercluster spawns galaxies. So this is, kind of the shape that most galaxies come from. So, we're going from superclusters and having the ability to kind of look further back, look further out, kind of get a better perspective shot. And, an image like this, you're going out billions of light years. It doesn't really make sense to us. But when you get these perspective shots, you start to see patterns and, and the origins of, what exactly starts a galaxy, what started that supercluster, what started this, what started that. So that's why you have these images. They're not just looking at the night sky. That's why you have 1.2 million different galaxies, so they can somehow get some kind of order to, really, when you look out the night sky, you can only assume chaos. So, of course, there's, and here's the part in the article from Popular Science saying that up until 50 or so years ago, scientists more or less understood the universe, but the discovery of dark matter and dark energy showed we don't really understand most of it, since they make up about 95% of the stuff in the universe. So we don't understand 95% of the stuff in the universe because we don't understand dark matter.
Dark matter. And that is just something so perplexing, because, I can understand something, a small amount, something, well, we don't, but this is making like such a huge percentage of everything that's there, and we don't understand what it is.
Right, and again, that's all from studying pictures and studying how light bends and gravity and all this kind of stuff. Like, I've actually heard it proposed that dark matter is actually just black holes, and that's where all the density and all the matter in the universe is just these black holes that we're just now beginning to start to identify. It's something that you definitely have to study to understand, and the article kind of goes on for a bit, but definitely recommend you go check it out. This image, again, while it doesn't make complete sense to me, again, it looks like just a smattering of pixels. It's it's one of these images that's going to help us understand just what the universe is made up of. Just how the universe works. So
it is very impressive, and you're right. You just feel so small and so insignificant.
Like, it makes you feel small, but at the same time, it gives you no perspective. When you say something is, where this one image contains 49,000 galaxies, which is about 3% of the full survey data set. So this picture is only 3% of the data they've actually collected. And again, each one of those pixels are galaxies.
Yeah.
Like they're not planets, they're not stars.
No.
They're galaxies that contain, millions and billions of stars.
Billions. And it's unthinkable.
Yeah, it is. There's no perspective, but I think it's cool and bring it to everyone's attention that that they're trying. They're trying with these massive units of scale. That's
the thing.
pretty cool.
The units of scale are so gargantuan that you just
Right. Well, when a pixel is, up until 70 years ago, one of these pixels was everything we knew about, everything having to do with space, and now we're up to, hundreds of thousands of pixels. Yeah. It's
what it tells you is things like Star Trek and what have you that we used to watch. Even Star Trek had the Delta Quadrant. When the alphabet, even with warp speed, it took them a phenomenal amount of time just to get, and they were still within the
right. And I guarantee you that of course the truth. First of all, it's set place in the future, but the units of scale that Star Trek had to obey, they were different than what's actually out there because you can't spend a million years getting to the next episode.
Right.
It's
exactly which was the prospect of the Voyager, Star Trek Voyager. They were still in they got launched out into the Delta Quadrant, and even with warp 9 and traveling at warp 9, it would take them like 70 some odd years to get back to where they were trying to get. I mean, and it was still in the same galaxy, and that was the whole premise of that episode. So as far future as Star Trek and things like it sound, it's so infinitesimal as to what's out there,
right.
And which I know we'll never be able to cover it. We just want to. I don't think any will ever.
Well, the future isn't. The future isn't. Well, I'm going that way. I'll go east. You guys head west, and we'll talk in a bit. No, the future of the human race, sadly, is that either we're going to send robots or we're going to send colonies of people. And once you go your own way, there's a song about that.
Yeah.
But once you go your own way, you never really again see or ever get to talk to, the other group of robots or the other group of people, because you're traveling thousands of years, millions of years at a time.
Yeah, exactly. Which was the premise of that Interstellar movie. I don't know if you ever saw it, the recent one.
I did not.
Yeah, that was one of the premises of Interstellar. It's just just so gargantuan. You can't.
But reality is just as cool as fantasy, and yeah, they're trying to understand what dark matter is, because that also plays a big role. So.
Okay, well, getting back to
bring us back down to earth, Greg. Bring us back down to earth.
the Earth.
So high up.
And if you're a Nintendo fan, look, let's face it. Pokemon Go has been is covering everything these days, the news. But Nintendo's doing other things besides Pokemon Go. And for those of you who were interested in the NES console,
yeah, like the story came out. It actually came out yesterday. We didn't do computer and technology, I'm sorry, we did. We did do computer technology news, but I didn't think it was that big a deal.
Yeah.
But like the story's stuck around for like 3 days, which is like an eternity.
I saw it on the news on TV. I said, "Look, there's a story that we didn't cover." And I knew we had it, but we didn't cover it. But it was on again. It was on local. It wasn't nationally, but it was on local.
I thought it wasn't a big deal, but I guess you put something in what looks like a Whopper container, and you say, "Hey, it plays video games."
Yeah.
People lose their mind,
and that's what they've done. And Nintendo's releasing a miniature NES console that's packed with 30 classic games. There's no cartridges on this. It fits in the palm of your hand, and evidently it's really inexpensive too. And this is from a PC World, Ian Paul, but he goes on to say it's retro month for Nintendo, because after the insanely successful launch of Pokemon Go, which I guess technically Pokemon is retro. I mean, they put a new hang on. They're doing the same thing sort of with the NES console. Starting at the 11th of November, which is in perfect time for the holiday, I guess, Nintendo is bringing back a miniaturized replica of the original Nintendo Entertainment System, and it costs $60. The $60 mini collector's edition NES comes with a single controller replica and 30 classic NES games built into the system. There's no cartridge for this. It just has 30 classic games Okay.
Which again, none of this is like shocking to me because you can go and download an NES emulator, which they've kind of cracked the genome for a couple decades now, and you can get thousands of video games. Like your hard drive can hold thousands of NES games, millions of NES games because they're so small. But I guess squeezing 30 of them was a phenomenal stunt.
Well, yeah, exactly. They're calling it the classic, the controller, and you can buy an extra classic controller for $10 if you want to. All right, but you can't use your old NES controllers, with the new system.
Well, the adapters that kind of plug into it are different than the old ones.
Right.
So
exactly. Right. The new controllers are designed to plug into the mini NES as well as the Wii remote control. It's interesting. Now, when paired with the Wii Remote, you can use the replica controller to play virtual NES console games on your Wii or Wii U. Okay. In another nod to the modern world, the mini NES won't force you to pause your game overnight to keep from losing your progress. That's nice. Each game has a built-in suspend points that let you shut down for the night and come back to the same point in the game the next day. That's nice.
Saving files in video games has been around for as long as I've been around. I never even thought of, well, I guess Super Mario, but like I never really thought of a world where you can't save your game and come back to it later. I guess that was a big innovation.
Yeah, exactly. Now they list all the different games on here. There's Bubble Fight and Donkey Kong.
No, Bubble Fight, no, Balloon Fight, Bubble Bobble, Castlevania, which just some of the highlights were Castlevania, Donkey Kong, Dr. Mario, if you call that a classic, Galaga, I would say it's a classic.
Yeah, it's a classic.
Mario Brothers, Super Mario Brothers, Pac-Man, Punch Out, and Zelda and Zelda 2. I mean, if like they chose 30 games, they chose 30 games that were classics. I think they, I don't know if they went to a website and were like, these are the 30 best video games from the NES era, but they chose 30 really good games.
Yeah, and they said it in that tone of voice too.
They probably did, except with the Japanese accent.
Yeah, exactly. Now, he does have a little commentary. He says the story behind the story. He says Nintendo's plan may seem a little ridiculous to emulation fans. Within half an hour, you can go from zero to a full NES gaming setup on a Raspberry Pi that plugs into your TV's HDMI port. Listen to that. You don't even have to take up your computer. You can just do it with a Raspberry. But those setups, such as RetroPie, only provide the games in their original form, and sometimes they won't play at all or are a little buggy. On top of that, you won't have the controller or the new built-in suspend points to save your progress. Not to mention the fact that the games you download for RetroPie aren't legitimate copies anyway, and emulation's a legal gray area at best. Okay, so he says that the mini NES isn't really for the technically capable people who know how to cobble together a Raspberry Pi anyway. The console will appear to the masses who still harbor fond memories of their NES-tinged childhood, and when those people see the console on store shelves and for just $60, there's no doubt it could be a lot of impulse buys, so parents can replay these games with their kids. I think it's a cool idea. I think it's going to catch on, especially in the holiday times. Why not?
Yeah, it's again kind of preying on that nostalgia, but
yeah.
But I think a lot of people still see the value in these old games. Like they may not have the super AAA graphics that the titles have nowadays, but the stories are still good, and the physics, like the platforming skills, are still intriguing. If you've ever played a classic Super Mario Brothers level, like even 30 years later, I'm sorry, not 40, 30 years later, it's still a lot of fun to make that little Italian plumber kind of go up and down those pipes.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So, but yeah, if we're gonna stick to Nintendo, let's stick to another Pokemon Go one. And here's one that we saw in the news. We were talking about it, and it was the privacy, kind of thing with Pokemon Go. Because if you play Pokemon Go, like Craig said, and I know Craig's played it since we talked yesterday. Right, so that resounding silence.
I'm dedicating the weekend to it.
That resounding silence is an affirmation that yes, I have spent the past 2 hours setting this up, even though it only takes 3 minutes. But whatever.
Yeah.
All right. Well, during the setup process of Pokemon Go, it asks for your the easiest way. One is to set it up through Pokemon Go website, and you can create an account, do all that kind of thing, or you can just log in with Google. And Google, of course, is your Gmail, your Google Calendar, your Google Drive, your Google, essentially your Google Life.
Mhm.
And it's tantamount to like whenever you open up a new app and you say sign in with Facebook, and Facebook gives them your email, it gives them your first name, last name, where you're located. It gives them all the data that they kind of want. And sign in with Gmail is the exact same thing. So of course one of the big hubbubs was was Google, Pokemon Go was hacking into all of the files that are all of your emails, and was getting access to all this information of your again of your Google Life.
Mhm.
And here's the thing that I never liked about that argument. We've said on the show from the very beginning, Niantic Niantic used to be a member of Google. Like Niantic used to be a member of Google, and then they were sold off, but Google is still their primary investor.
Mhm.
So obviously there's some close ties there. It only made sense to me that you would sign in with your Google account because Google essentially owns Niantic. Now here's the thing. Why would Google want to keep track of all of your Gmail and all of your Google Life when anything that's Niantic could access through your Google Plus account or your Google account, Google already technically owns. You put it on their servers, you put your emails on their servers, you put their pictures on their servers, you put your documents on the servers. Anything Niantic could possibly have gleaned by signing in through Pokemon Go through your Google Plus account, Google already has access to in a much more subversive way. So like this whole, and again, this argument of, well, privacy, it made, front page news. It made, the nightly news. It was a big deal. It made no sense to me because they already had access to that. So, it's the article kind of goes on. It goes on for actually what I think is a bit too long, and they did say that Niantic and the Pokemon Company, who are of course the leading companies behind the app, they're going to take more steps to stop collecting as much data and actually pull back the data that they do collect, because any data that they did collect was kind of tertiary, like they didn't really want it. It's just kind of what they collected. I assume, because again, whatever data they could collect, the Google already had. So, who even first of all, who needs redundant data? And second of all, I don't think, Pokemon Go really needs all that data, so they're not going to collect it. So, yeah, that was it. They've, they did their analysis. They said they said that they were collecting data. They don't need it. But again, any data that they could have collected, Google already had access to because you willingly put it on their servers.
Well, there it is. Okay. Just as an addendum here, with Pokemon, did you know that Yelp is now getting Pokemon Go fever?
Yes, this is the only other Pokemon Go story we have, I promise. So, yeah.
And they've added a Pokestop filter. Okay. So basically, the Pokemon Go juggernaut continues its infestation of everyday services. Yelp has added a Pokestop filter to its search functions, so you can make sure you're eating or shopping near one of them, one of the item dropping locations. Is that kind of cool? The Pokestop nearby, that's in quotes, option prominently appears on the top bar of Yelp's website, and alongside selectable filters like wheelchair accessible and offers military discount on the mobile app. They actually have it there now with those Pokestop nearby. They've just added to the filter. They've added a filter called Pokestop nearby,
which to me seems like cheating because originally the only way to go find a Pokestop was to actually go out and find Pokestops. Like they weren't listed online, they weren't listed anywhere. You just kind of had to come across them.
But it doesn't look like Yelp is plugging into Niantic's game data to scrape locations for the item dropping spots. Users reporting that the service asks them if one is near and when they review a business.
Right. So just like this this picture from Twitter that they pulled, they are asking their customers, is this bike parking? Does this accept Apple Pay? Is this takeout? And of course, is this a Pokestop nearby? So, again, they're not scraping the data; they're just kind of sourcing it on their own, which I consider cheating.
All right. Well, I think you're right. I think that, but again, I think it's very cool that
there's a lot of companies out there that are cashing in on the Pokemon Go.
We mentioned McDonald's yesterday.
Well, this isn't a story that we're going to mention, but T-Mobile just said that Pokemon Go would be data free for a year. So no data that you spend on Pokemon Go would register for the first year. And they're doing stuff like sending people on trips on like random giveaways. If you play Pokemon Go, they're like a free refill of like a Frosty at Wendy's if you use Pokemon Go and T-Mobile. Like they had like a whole swag package that went along with Pokemon Go and T-Mobile. So
exactly. All right. Well, listen, we're going to take a short break, and then when we come back, we're going to call out our social media winner of the week. That's for that Logitech M535 Bluetooth wireless mouse. That's right. It works on Mac. It works on Windows, Chrome OS. You name it, Linux. It works with any Bluetooth device. It's valued at $40, and we're going to be announcing that person's name. We're going to have our last news tips bulletin and review of the week from Marty Winston for the last time, and we'll have 2 new ones next week. We're going to take that break. Right now, you're listening to the Computer America Show. Hi, this is Craig Crossman, host of the Computer America Show. You have important meetings to schedule. Your company's getting ready for its IPO, and you're in charge of the PTA fundraiser this month. So how do you coordinate everyone to be available at the same time? Are you still using emails, phone calls, even text messages to schedule meetings with a group of people? How's that working out for you? Not so great, huh? It's a fact that every day, millions of people suffer from scheduling headaches. Well, with Doodle, scheduling meetings with a group of people is quick and easy. With Doodle, you can easily propose available times to each member. Each one checks off the times that they are available, and then you simply pick the time that works best for the group, all in an easy-to-read display that integrates with your existing calendar. Nothing could be more simple. Give Doodle a try for free, and like millions of Doodle users, you'll truly see how easy it is to find the perfect date and time for all your meetings. That's www.doodle.com. Looking for a best friend? Brother Wolf Animal Rescue has your best friend waiting just for you. The mission of Brother Wolf Animal Rescue is to help build a sustainable, no-kill community where no dogs or cats are ever killed for population control, where true euthanasia is reserved only for animals who are irremediably suffering or for animals who are truly a threat to society and with no hope of rehabilitation. Brother Wolf staff and volunteers go door to door, neighborhood by neighborhood, to educate citizens about local resources available for at-risk pets and to help their families connect with those resources. Brother Wolf's community-based approach to no-kill helps keep family pets healthy, happy, and in their homes and out of the local shelter system in the first place. For more information or to make a tax-deductible donation to this wonderful 501c3 organization, visit their website at www.bwar.org. Help to realize Brother Wolf's vision when no animal is euthanized for lack of a home.
Who's a good boy?
Whoa, good thing. When he tried going back to school, they arrested him. Hi, I'm Marty Winston with the News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America. This time, TP-Link sent their model RE350K dual-band Wi-Fi range extender with AC1200 support, so it's fast. But even more impressively, this is a plug-in wall wart device that doesn't block the adjacent outlet. Hurrah! It uses an app-based setup that by default maintains the same passwords as your existing Wi-Fi, or you can change them. You can also provide the same network name or a new one. You put it at a point where your original Wi-Fi coverage begins to decay, and it carries everything for another hop away. Bottom line, the TP-Link AC1200 Wi-Fi range extender is a set and forget cure for weak Wi-Fi. Marty Winston, News Tips Bulletin for Computer America.
And welcome back to the Computer America Show. It is 33 minutes past the hour. And folks, I've gotten this complaint before from my producer, from other people on the show, from people I thought were technologically savvy. So I just want to throw this out there before we get to our, social media winner of the week. If you are watching the video portion of the show, we use Google Hangouts. It's very, very convenient for what we do. And I've gotten this complaint that sometimes my face, my beautiful, beautiful face, is hidden behind the icons of the members of the call. And it's usually myself and Craig and sometimes a guest. And, I get this comment that, hey, Ben, we can't see your face. We can't see this, we can't see that because it's being blocked by the icons. Craig, I think even you've mentioned this to me.
Yes.
Well, fun fact for anyone out there who is using Google Hangouts to watch us, if you double click on the viewing area of, whoever you're watching, again, this works on any Google Hangouts call. If you double click on the area, it will actually shrink it to be above the the members of this call's icons. There is nothing that we could do on our end to change the position of those. The only way to really see the full content of what we're doing here is by double clicking the viewing area of Google Hangouts, and it will make the image pop up above the members of the calling area. So for those of you out there who have sent in letters complaining that in Google in the video portion we can't see everything because of those icons, nothing we can do on our end. It is strictly on your end, and you have the tools. You have the power to change it. So
in other words, you double click on the two video icons.
Right. Well, without getting some kind of weird, kind of double effect here, get some weird call here. But if you're watching the video portion right now, you see here, this is the complaint that I get is that these, that these images down here, again, the members of the call block the screen.
Right.
So when you double click and you do it right, there we go. The whole area pops up above the members of the call. So it is not blocked behind the images.
I see, because right now when I do it,
well, right now you just have an icon, so
yeah,
you really can't see much. But you might see it shift a little bit. But again, that's how you do it. Little Google Hangouts kung fu we just taught you to perhaps make your viewing pleasure a little bit better.
Thank you for that. That's nice.
And it's just something I had to learn because so many people were complaining about it. And I was like, it's not my fault. It's your fault. Shame on you. So,
all right. I guess at this point it's time to do our social media winner of the week.
It is.
So let's do it. Okay. This week's social media winner is James Doyle. James Doyle, congratulations. You are this week's social media winner. James listens to Computer America in Wesley Chapel, Florida. I've never heard of Wesley Chapel, Florida. I'm getting so many of these things.
That's west of Easley Chapel.
I guess. Or maybe it's Wesley, W-E-S-L-E-Y. Wesley. Maybe it's related to Wesley Crusher.
Or Wesley Snipes.
Yeah, Wesley Snipes, yeah. Wesley Chapel, Florida. And again, he wins the Logitech M535 Bluetooth wireless mouse. And again, valued at $40. Head over to computeramerica.com. Get your entry in for next week. We're going to do it again, and on next Friday. We'd love to hear from you. And again, you can have up to 5 entries once you do it every single week, and you don't have to do anything else again. Just takes at least for now. That's how it works. So head over to computeramerica.com and check out our contest, enter it, and who knows, you may be calling your name next week. Again, congratulations to James Doyle for being this week's winner. All right, so Ben and I are continuing to do computer and technology news brought to you by Slimware Utilities. And whose turn is it now?
Well, I'm going to pick the next one because this one kind of ties into what I was saying about, Google having access to everything you put up online. And it also fits in with one of our mantras, which is backup, backup, backup. But not just backup, 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 but of course, make multiple backups in multiple locations. Because this is a story tragic story, really, if you if you think about it. Although I have heard the saying, Google taught this man, one of the most important life lessons, and they didn't charge him anything. So, so this is from Fusion, and Google deletes artist blog and a decade of his work along with it.
Oh no!
So remember, when we say backup, we don't just mean back it up to the cloud, because the cloud can have its own series of issues. Make physical backups, make cloud backups, backup in multiple places, because if you have it in one place, that just exponentially increases the odds that it's going to get lost or destroyed somehow. So again, this is from Fusion, Mr. Ethan Cheel, and artist Dennis Cooper was his name, has a big problem on his hands where most of his artwork for the past 14 years just disappeared.
Oh my gosh.
So it's gone because he kept entirely on his blog, which the experimental author and artist has maintained on Google-owned platform Blogger since 2002. So at the end of June, Cooper said he discovered he could no longer access his Blogger account and that his blog had been taken offline. So he had to take to other social media, like his Facebook page, where he said, quote, "Yesterday afternoon, Google disabled my blog and took it offline. They did the same with my email account. Other than being shown a general violation of our terms and service statements, I have been given no explanation for this, and I have not received any response to my questions and complaints thus far. Obviously, until or if this problem is resolved, there will be no new blog posts." So, along with his blog, Google disabled Cooper's email address through which most of his correspondence was conducted. He told the author through Facebook. So he got no communication from Google about why it decided to kill his email address and blog. Well, they probably sent him an email about it, but it seems redundant. So, of course, Cooper used the blog to post his fiction, research, and visual art, and it was also a platform through which he engaged almost daily with a community of followers and fellow artists. So, if you visit the page now, the blogger displays a brief standard removal message saying that it has been removed and the address is not available for new blogs. So, here's the worst part. Nothing on the blog is backed up or archived anywhere else, as far as I know. That's the worst part of it. This man, again, has been using the service for, since 2002. 13, 14 years of artwork that he had submitted, gone. Just one day, wake up, gone. So, admittedly, not everything has vanished. The Internet Archive's Wayback Machine has saved bits and pieces of Cooper's blog dating back to January 3rd, 2012, but they are just snapshots of the blog's front page for a given time, not capturing the blog in its entirety. So the blog has also disappeared from the Google cache. Like they really deleted this. So so why it was taken down remains unclear. One commenter speculated that someone may have reported the blog due to its sometimes containing sexually charged material. Again, artists, they kind of do weird stuff, so I would not surprise me if stuff like that was there. But Google doesn't really take a hardline stance against that either. So. They're saying that he lives in France. No real way to, get about this. But I think we're going to leave it there and just say, if you have it backed up to services like Google or only to Google, places that you consider kind of cornerstones. And again, this guy didn't have a problem for 13 years. He felt his data was safe. But, in one fell swoop, he just lost over a decade worth of artwork and, work he had done.
Yeah, it's that. That's really scary. I mean,
well, it's scary when you give one company all the power behind your entire digital life. Make backups. Make it make them locally on physical places where it doesn't matter what they have in the cloud. Have it locally. Like if anything matters to you online and you don't want to lose it, make multiple backups.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is what we say here on the show all the time. So
hard lesson learned. Yeah. Well,
hard lesson learned, but we keep reporting. We keep reporting on stories about it. So this lesson is not learned by enough. So
no, it's not.
We will continue to show you people's digital lives ruined because they failed to make a backup. Until you get it, until we never have to report another story about it again.
Yeah, which I don't think will ever happen.
No, people are lazy and they're, and I mean this not the Computer America audience. You people are the most wonderful people ever created, but people in general are lazy, and backing up, while it has gotten tons easier, is something you still have to go out of your way to do. So I doubt it will ever stop.
They make it so easy that I mean they can have it running in the background. You don't even know it's doing it, but I mean
they can have it running in the background on a physical drive, and you'd never have to worry about it again. But again, it's just something you have to take time out of your day to set up, and people aren't going to do that.
Well, this next story is from Engadget, and election day is getting closer and closer, and to me, it's getting more and more scary. But Google will help you register to vote in the November election. Their search results will include detailed info for each state, according to the story from Engadget. Now, Google is no stranger to lending a hand with voter registration, and ahead of the November election in the U.S., Google is helping once again. Starting this coming Monday, when you search register to vote, the results will include details on the process, what's required, and the deadline to complete the sign up. Now, remember, each state is different, so if you need to browse the guidelines for another location, there's a handy drop down that allows you to make that change. Google confirmed to Engadget that the tool will be available at the start of next week. So with the upcoming Democratic and Republican national conventions, Google will provide information on those events as well. When you search for either party's convention, you'll get a schedule of the proceedings, nominee details, summary of the event itself, list of speakers, and a collection of related social media posts and YouTube's live stream videos. Monday marks the start of the Republican National Convention, a 4-day lineup of speakers and platform discussions that culminates with the formal nomination of a presidential candidate on Thursday in Cleveland. The Democratic National Convention follows a similar agenda the next week in Philadelphia, running July 25th through the 28th. Now remember, there are a number of ways to watch both, including streams on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and more. Twitch? The game?
I cannot wait.
what kind of
again? Twitch can broadcast anything they want. They put it into the proper category, and watching the presidential elections and and all this stuff and all the national conventions, I cannot wait to watch them on with thousands of other gamers that have a bad mouth and a horrible perspective. I can't wait to watch it with them.
Okay.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
I would think so. Well, there it is. So yeah, you can follow it on all those sources. Again, courtesy of Google. Okay.
All right. So, there's a lot of stories we're not going to get to. We're already, like 10 minutes left. Just a couple quick ones here where, we just talked about 5G yesterday.
Yeah.
The White House has pledged $400 million into research and investments into 5G technology. So, there's a leg up for you, $400 million of taxpayer money going into development of a better cell network. That's good. It's good that the government sees the obvious economic benefits of having the Internet of Things more robust.
It's interesting. It's kind of ironical that Obama is doing this. Obama. I was watching him. He was on, I think, not Jimmy Kimmel, but he was on the other late night talk show.
Colbert?
No, the other one, the third one. But
Fallon.
anyway, Jimmy Fallon. Yes, he was on with Jimmy Fallon, and he was talking about the fact that a couple of weeks ago. He says that the Secret Service said that he no longer needed to use that BlackBerry that he was using, and they gave him a smartphone. He says, but unfortunately, he says because of security issues, he says it's incredibly crippled. He says I can't use the camera in it. I can't take pictures. I can't do
Well, yeah, you know, any pictures or video, or like, first of all, a camera can be hacked into, turned on, and any pictures or video he takes would have all the geotagging that he, you know, where he took it from.
So it's
very insecure.
It's incredibly bricked. I mean, it's just minimal. You can make phone calls, and Fallon was laughing. He says, "Yeah, you're the president of the United States, and your smartphone."
Well, it just goes to show that you know, if you want a measurable amount of privacy,
yeah,
like, just ask Obama about how little services you would get if you truly wanted privacy.
Yeah, exactly. Well, he's getting extremely little services,
but he's getting extreme privacy.
He's getting extreme privacy, but he can't do very much with his smartphone. I think he can make phone calls.
Well, and to me, like, that just says, you know, all these people who are advocating, I want privacy, and then they walk around with a smartphone in their pocket, like, they're asking, you know, they're asking for one thing and doing the complete opposite.
Yeah. So yeah, I think all the geotagging, everything is all turned off. You can't do virtually anything with it except, I say, make phone calls, and even those are really secured. So and yet here he is. He's the president of the United States, and he's pledging $400 million for 5G research. Maybe he's being promised that with 5G he'll get more privacy.
I doubt it.
I doubt it.
Although there is another story that we're probably not going to get to, where there was a caucus of all things. There was a caucus to protect the Fourth Amendment from the Patriot Act. You know, because the Patriot Act, if you remember, was the one that just that was pushed through after 9/11, which actually led the way to a lot of, you know, agencies like the NSA. You know, a lot of places that you know, if they could just hint that terrorist activities were happening, they could, you know, use you know, collection devices. They could hack into communications. They could do all kinds of things. And yeah, there was actually an amendment to the Patriot Act where they were trying to broaden the scope to include, you know, even more communications and even less of, you know, verifiable threats. And there was a caucus to protect the Fourth Amendment, which is the you know, which is the right to not be, you know, searched, or the, you know, protection against illegal searches without concrete proof. And so, you know, luckily that actually worked, where, you know, the Patriot Act was not expanded, thanks to the fact that, you know, it would violate everything. Well, you know, we already have violations to the Fourth Amendment, but it would be even worse if that were to go through. So, you know, some people are trying to work on tech and privacy. It's going to be an ongoing battle that currently I think the people are losing. But, right, but that's not the story I wanted to cover, even though, you know, it sounds super important, something like we should cover, but it's not as fun. So we're going to switch over, you know, read it on your own time, if you will. But this next story is going to be about Twitch and Counter-Strike Global Offensive gambling, which has been a problem for quite a while now. And they're saying that the gambling aspect has been prohibited on Twitch. And if you had watched Counter-Strike Global Offensive, you know, from anywhere up until a week ago, some of the top channels on that site weren't even playing Counter-Strike Global Offensive under, you know, of course, under that game. The most popular channels were people who were opening up crates, you know, so you get random loot, and people who were gambling away the skins for, you know, for money. And, you know, like, that was the most popular aspect of it, was the gambling part. And again, you're talking to an audience of mostly, you know, 13 to 18-year-olds who legally cannot gamble. So, according to Twitch, yeah, so according to Twitch, they are now, Twitch is chiming in, stating that any stream that violates a game service agreement is prohibited from broadcasting, specifically calling out gambling businesses that misuse Steam's OpenID API, which, again, the OpenID API, which Steam just changed to you know, to keep people from trading skins for real money. So that just changed as well. So technically, the announcement doesn't change anything on Twitch's end. Streams that break third-party terms and service agreements have always been prohibited. Even so, the statement serves as a reminder to broadcasters: if Valve wouldn't be okay with your stream, Twitch probably isn't okay with it either. So, added to the fact that the owners of CS:GO Lotto have been added to the ongoing gambling lawsuit against Valve, skin betting doesn't seem long for this world. And that was another story that we didn't cover, but I think I did talk to you, Craig, behind the scenes, or at least I did talk to our producer, that there was a big scandal that happened a week ago,
Yes.
where one YouTuber called out a couple of other YouTubers who they started a business of CS:GO skin gambling,
Mhm.
and then they were popular YouTubers. They had like 11 million audience members between them. And again, they know their audience members are kids, 13 to 21-year-olds.
Right.
And without saying their affiliation, without saying that they specifically own this company, they advocated to their audience saying, I just found this new site. I really love it. You guys should check it out too. And Craig, you've been in the advertising game for quite a while now.
Yep.
How big of a no-no do you think that is, to own a company and then anonymously plug it?
It's a conflict of interest. I mean, absolutely.
In the highest degree.
Yeah.
And not only that, but the problem with this one is again, they were doing it for, kids who were well below the legal gambling age. And this is, this isn't strict gambling because it's not straight for money, but essentially you put your money in, or you put skins in, and you play this lotto, or which is essentially a slot machine, and you can cash out your skins for real money. So thousands of dollars are being lost. So yep, there's a lawsuit about that going on. Seedy stuff all around. But with Twitch, Twitch affirming this, that they don't really appreciate the illegal gambling aspect of it. It doesn't look like they're right that skin betting is going to be around for much longer.
No, exactly.
It was a way to cash in on that innate, everyone loves to gamble kind of feeling people have, without actually saying this is gambling or betting.
Yeah. I remember when you had presented that story to us, and
it was interesting, and there was a lot of hard facts in there, but no real reputable news source had picked it up, so I didn't really want to bring it to everyone's attention. But I guess now that the companies that were involved are taking major steps to kind of step back from the whole scene, I guess is reputable enough now that when Steam and Twitch and and all these lawsuits are flying around, I guess that's reputable enough because it's actually happening.
Yeah, no, makes sense. I don't know if we have time to do that. Remember you mentioned a tour of New York City in the 1800s with Google Street View?
Yeah, that's possible.
Yeah, well, I think we can do that. This, again, Popular Science. The developer used 80,000 photographs to create a time-traveling project, literally. So now, by clicking on one of hundreds of points on the old New York City map, you can reveal dozens of old photographs from that area. So, I kind of jokingly said to our first hour guest, Tiffen, hey, I'm looking for a camera that takes pictures of past events. Well, there it is. This is really close to that. According to the history geeks and time travelers from the 1800s, get ready to have your days made. Old New York City combines Google Maps with photographs from the New York Public Library to create a time warp version of Street View. Developer Van Vanderkam compiled over 80,000 photos from the New York Public Library's photographic views of New York City from the 1870s to the 1970s, collection and plotted them using geocoding to their corresponding origins on an interactive map of the 5 boroughs. And this is just absolutely stunning and amazing here. You can see it if you're watching the video. Ben is actually showing some of these things.
They have, it's not every single street, and it's not really technically a street view because they kind of link you to, photos from that area. Like they don't superimpose it to look like, on the left here's what the businesses used to look like, but essentially you can go anywhere. Like this is, I could assume, especially interesting for people who lived in New York. And let's say you go to your old neighborhood and you can see what it looked like in 1883 or 1920.
Yeah, look at that.
A lot of photos.
That's breathtaking and incredibly amazing to be able to do this. It really is almost like having a time machine looking glass.
Mm-hmm.
You look at an area, you could probably compare it with the current view. I'm sure you can probably with the current view, what it looks like today, and then I'll have a separate tab or something open out to that same image and taking a look at that.
Right.
Really, it is quite amazing. Ben's actually showing all the different points on the island of New York.
And again, I'm kind of poking around randomly because I've only been to New York once when I was like 11, so I don't have any particular kind of point of reference. But most of these buildings that we see here, if you've ever been to New York in the past couple of years, the photos that we're seeing from the 1800s and in the early 1900s, they're 1 to 2 story buildings and 1 to 2 story kind of shops and stores. If you've been to New York lately,
there's Central Park. Yeah, you had Central Park there.
Yeah, but like if you've been to New York lately, like there's not really a store that's under, or like a building under 15 stories tall.
Right.
It's just crazy to see all these buildings that are so small.
Go to Times Square, and see what that must have looked like.
Right. I don't even know where that is. So
42nd Street. Yeah, exactly.
Is it 42nd Street?
42nd Street. Yeah, Times Square, 42nd.
West 42nd Street.
Well, Ben, we're pretty much out of time.
Yeah. Again, if someone was better at this, actually, I think this is Times Square.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, that's Times Square. There
90 seconds.
Wow, look at that.
Very cool.
Very, very cool. Listen, again, I want to thank all of you for being here with us. We got the weekend upon us, and have a great weekend. Again, I want to thank our first hour guest, Mike Casara from Tiffen, who joined us in the first hour. And, of course, congratulations again to James Doyle for being our social media winner of the week. Coming up on Monday, we're going to have author Scott Schober is going to be. He wrote a book called
60 seconds.
Hacked Again. He's the author, and he's going to be talking about his experiences with hackers and facing repeated hacks and what he's done and how his business actually was targeted. Berkeley Vitronics Systems and what his company had to do to get back online. It's a really interesting read. He's going to be joining us in the first hour. And then the second hour, computer and technology news brought to you by Slimware Utilities. Hey, listen, thanks to all of you. Have a great weekend. Really. And Ben and I will see you here Monday, same time, same place, same station. So until Monday afternoon, this is Craig Crossman, hoping that your hard disk never becomes floppy. We'll see you Monday.
Have a good one, everyone.
And play Pokemon Go.
Woohoo! Finally.
10 seconds. Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.
Okay, everybody, again, thanks for watching. And again, get out there, play Pokemon Go, and have a great weekend. And Ben and I will see you Monday. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.